Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the show here today. Daniel Blue with Quest Education. We met. I've been doing a lot of podcasts recently, actually, with a lot of folks from Stewman's $1 Million Mastermind event, and finally got to meet Daniel Blue, the Daniel Blue, in person. He was the first person I sat by, actually, on one of those days, and we hit it off and got to spend some time and get to know each other. And I'm just honored that you joined us here today. So thank you.
Hey, thank you for having me on. And it's like the universe, man, had us sit together right there. There's 500 people in the room.
Yeah,
so I'm
absolutely.
so lucky that I got to sit right next to you, man.
Yeah. And incredible event as well. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about you and championship leadership and your company, what you're doing and how that all ties together. So first question love to ask is, the name of my podcast is Championship Leadership, which is a little bit unique name. What comes to mind for you? What do you think of when you hear championship leadership?
Yeah, I think of competing. Life is about competing, and not so much of competing with other people, but competing with yourself. And we live in a day and age where it's really easy to look at someone and compare yourself to someone else and kind of get discouraged. But, I think of championship, I think of competing, and I think of how there's a lot of similarities between business and sports. I was someone that grew up playing sports. I might not have been the best person on the team, but I always found a way to make the coach play me, and I made it hard for him to put me on the bench. And I did find a way to be a captain on a lot of the teams. And it wasn't because I was the best player, but I felt like I was able to bring out the best in my teammates and just force the coach to play his hand,
That's awesome, man. What sports did you play?
So I grew up playing basketball. And
okay.
then I'm Mexican, so, we have to play soccer, right?
Yeah.
So basketball and soccer is what I play a bunch. Yeah.
Awesome.
So.
And I see you from Oceanside. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I got the ocean right here,
Is that from? Dude,
yeah, I think it's Pacific Beach,
that picture is it's mesmerizing, man. It's like, I was actually going to make a comment about it. Like, if you're listening to this podcast, you need to go to the YouTube and watch it, because just because of the photo behind Daniel's head, man, it's an amazing picture. I love it.
I feel like, especially if you're in the office a bunch, it's really easy to get caught up in the four walls and, whatever your sanctuary is, whether it's, hiking in the forest and trees or mountains. I feel like just having a picture somewhere to just kind of space out maybe for 5-10 seconds and then get back at it.
Absolutely, man. No, I love that. Well, let's talk a little bit more about, so I love asking this question now. In the beginning, I just kind of asked it because I didn't know what else to say. I just kind of fell into this question, but I love it because I get a different answer every time. And I'm like, at some point, like, there's only so many answers you can give to like what championship leadership is, but I'm starting to believe that I think there's just an unlimited number of answers, because the answers are so unique. And I love yours because you talked about, it makes you think about competing, but also, competing with yourself and not others. And that's such a big point, because I think too many get caught up in this space of comparison, right? Especially with social media. Like, if you're gonna compare yourself against everyone else, and really all they're doing is putting up their best selves, which is okay, right? I understand that. You don't want to go out and just post negative stuff all the time about your life, or sometimes maybe it's just that release to just be able to just share the good things, the highlights, and that's all right. But at the same time, to compare yourself to that, when, number one, it might not even be the truth, right? A lot of people are sharing stuff that isn't even real for them, just to make themselves look good. But on the other hand, that's a long road to take, and the weight can be overbearing if you're continually comparing yourselves to others. And I think there's so much power in just like staying in your lane, just worry about yourself and what's going on for you. And if you do that, ultimately you're going to look around eventually and be like, hey, like, you're in the front, right?
Yeah,
you're winning. So yeah, where did that come from for you? Is that something that you've always been focused on, or?
I think a lot of it had to, I think a question like that is layered because I think a lot of where we are today is our childhood, right? What were we
Yeah.
exposed to? What did our parents do or not do? What are some challenges we faced when we were a child? So I think it's always good to reflect and look back at your childhood because it definitely can leave some clues. So I feel like since I was involved in sports so much, I did walk the fine line of comparing myself to others because and I think there's a healthy way of comparing yourself to others. I'll give you an example. I played soccer in high school, and I really wanted to be on the varsity team playing soccer. So I was a freshman, and I would look at these varsity players, and I'd be like, dude, what do I got to do to play varsity? I would study and watch them. So I would essentially compare myself to them,
Yeah.
but then I would take some mental notes and know, okay, I need to go back and train and do ABC. And then I would stay in my lane. So I think there is that fine balance of knowing when to compare yourself to someone else, but then also knowing, hey, you ultimately have to do the work, stay in the lane, and just do you.
Yeah. Well, that's a great point. You are measuring yourself up against, the other guys that you're competing with, right? Especially when you're talking about as a freshman trying to make the varsity squad, earn your stripes, if you will, and so it's like, all right, well, like, what are the areas that I need to improve in? And then, so it sounds like that's what you were doing, kind of taking that inventory, like, what skill sets do I need to improve or to create for myself in soccer, so that I can then go focus on those on my own, and then earn my spot.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And that's key in business too, man. Like
Yeah,
I
right.
know I'm a small fish, right? We do low seven figures in revenue. So I say I'm a small fish because I know there's companies out there doing, eight figures, nine figures,
Yeah.
billion-dollar companies, right? So I do compare ourselves to, okay, what are these other companies doing? Like what processes, systems, culture, operations, like what are they doing? But then also it's that fine line where it's like, okay, we got to stay in our lane and execute. So
Yeah.
uh, it is that fine line for sure.
Tell me, you opened the door a little bit, right? You said a lot of things kind of go back to our childhood, but also, you're number one, you're a seven-figure company is not anything to shake a stick at, number one. So congratulations on that. But it also sounds like, there's a greater vision for you, which I love.
Yeah.
Like never settling, right? Just want to continue to grow. The bigger you get, the more people you can impact, which I'm sure is really what drives you.
Yeah.
But yeah, tell me, like, how did you get to where you are today? How did Quest Education come about?
It all started when I moved to a small town in Utah called St. George.
Okay.
So I was in high school in Oceanside, California. I was being raised by a single mom, and my dad had moved to Mexico. And when I was a kid, when I was a teenager, and that really just it tore me apart. I was really
Yeah.
confused and angry, had a lot of anger. And my poor mom was a social worker, so she's working full time, holding down a job, holding down the house. And,
Yeah.
I had a lot of free time on my hands. So I, like a lot of other kids, I was getting in trouble. So I got done with my junior year in high school and she said, hey, you need to move. You need to go somewhere else and finish school or else you're going to end up in a real bad place. I was doing very bad in school. So she knew someone that lived in St. George, Utah. She
Okay.
goes, I'm going to move you out there and I want you to finish your high school year out there. So I said, all right. So I moved out there. I was 17, got a place on my own. I roofed full time on the side. Utah's got an interesting schooling system where I only had to go to school 3 days a week because the way that the credits worked out in California versus Utah, I had enough credits where I only had to go to school a couple days a
Oh,
week.
really?
I was able to work 40 hours a week. Was making $17 an hour. It's 2006, so I'm thinking,
Yeah.
like, dude, I'm balling
Yeah.
17
Right. No doubt.
high school. And so I did that for a while, graduated high school, didn't know what I was going to do with my life. I played soccer in college. I went to Dixie State College in Southern Utah, played
Okay.
soccer. And once that was done, I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I was still roofing. And then I ended up meeting someone, it's funny, at a party. And he worked at a sales floor and he just pitched me on coming to work for him. He's like, hey man, I'm a closer. I'm building a team. Do you want to come work for me? And I was like, well, dude, I'm roofing. Like, yeah, I'm down. Like, this
Yeah.
is hard work. You know, roofing, I was doing it 2
Yeah.
years. It's
It's
hard
really
on the
hard.
body, man.
Yeah,
Like,
man.
especially in
Yeah.
Utah, it gets 110 degrees out there. So I'm out on the
No
roof,
doubt, man. Yeah.
dude, the tile and the shingles melting, you know. So it was hard work. So I'm like, yeah, man, I'll check it out. So I checked out the company, and I see these Mercedes Benz outside and BMWs outside, and I walk in the sales floor, and all these dudes are on headsets, and there's no wireless headsets back then. It's
Yeah.
2007. They
Right.
had the cords, so they're all just walking back and forth in their cubicles, just pitching. And I heard this big old buzz, like it was just like on
Yeah.
fire. And I was like, man, these dudes are making money. I don't know.
Boiler
Yeah,
room or what?
it definitely was, man. There's
Yeah.
probably 50 marketers in there, and they had their whiteboards with all the numbers on the board. And,
Really? Yeah.
so I knew there was money being made in there. I didn't know what they were selling, but I
Yeah.
was like, dude, sign me up. And so they just gave me a bunch of leads, and I just smiled and dialed, cold called people.
What was this
And,
for?
it was real estate coaching. So it was an
Oh, really?
commercial lead that was back in 2007. So I would call people and upsell them real estate coaching, and we
Do
would
you
sell
know
them.
do you know Greg McCluskey?
No,
All
no.
right. My bad. So he's from Utah,
Okay.
and he sold real estate coaching for a long time. He was one of our clients. That's why I asked. So,
I
but
mean, it's a small circle,
I
man. It's
bet.
interesting is Utah is one of the
Yeah.
biggest hubs of telemarketing,
Yeah.
of sales. And I had no idea that there was so much business in the coaching world out in Utah.
Yeah.
So,
Right. I didn't either.
yeah.
So yeah, sorry to cut you off, but yeah, so you were in this environment, and so what happened from there? Yeah.
At that point, I don't know if it was
Did you
beginner's
kill it there?
luck. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I never had a sales background, but I
Yeah.
think just going back to my childhood and having the ability to lead people and be a captain on a team, and just,
Yeah.
I love teamwork. I love getting in the trenches with people. And since I was never the most talented player on the team, like I just used my grit. Like I would play physical, I'd play hard, and
Yeah.
I just took some of those same qualities on the call floor. Like I would dial my butt off.
Yeah.
I would get in early. I'd stay late,
Yeah.
and I would just outwork people, and made it to where I was a really, really good setter. And then that allowed me to become a closer. And
Uh-huh.
then I started to run a team. So by the time I was 20
Yeah.
years old, I was running a sales team, and I've been on the phone ever since then.
It's an incredible experience, man.
Yeah.
Just, especially at that age. Well, number one, it's just, yeah, just to see kind of that progression and the path that you've been on, like getting sent off on your own to Utah to go to school and starting your own business, or at least where you were roofing, 40 hours a week. Like I imagine a lot of 17-year-olds at that age with that kind of freedom, like would have went down a different rabbit hole. And then to take that and that competitiveness and that drive that you had into the sales opportunity, selling real estate coaching, and before you know it, you're leading a team, and you're only 20 years old. Like, dude, you don't
Yeah.
even know what's going on in life yet when you're 20.
No, man. And you bring up, an interesting phrase, a rabbit hole.
Yeah,
It wasn't all a walk in the park. It wasn't all like,
sure.
oh my gosh, he's doing great. He's so mature. Like I went through some stuff, some demons. And I think a lot of it had to do with my dad when he left, when he moved to Mexico. And, I was just like, dude, why'd you leave your family? And I never really found out why. But when I was 18, I ended up getting a girl pregnant. Had a daughter at 19. I don't know if you know this, but Utah also, as it's known to have a lot of call floors in sales, like solar and, alarm systems and coaching. I also have a really, really bad problem with drugs, more
Really?
specifically pills.
Okay.
And I got addicted to Oxycontin from the age of 18 to 20.
Oh,
So
wow.
that was part of me masking my problems. So from 18 to 20, I was addicted to Oxycontin, and I had a daughter, and I was making good money. So on the surface, things looked great, but deep down inside, I was, I had a lot of battles I was fighting.
So what'd you get through? What got you through that?
Man, it was I was 20 years old. So this November will be 10 years I've been clean from Oxycontin. But this November, 10 years ago, I was trying to score some pills. It was Thanksgiving Day. My daughter,
Mm.
6, 7 months old at
Yeah.
that time. So I
Yeah.
was still using. And I called a bunch of people that I normally get pills from, and they weren't picking up their phone. And they're probably doing what most people are doing on
Thanksgiving dinner.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Right.
they weren't picking up, man.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you know, but Oxycontin is essentially heroin in a pill.
No. Yeah. I
So,
know it's, yeah.
and when you
I've
don't
seen
take
what it
it,
does.
you start withdrawing, you start throwing up, you start getting the chills, you start, really, really being in a bad place. So I start withdrawing, and I'm just like, I remember I was in my car, and I'm like, dude, I'm 20, my daughter's 6 months old, and I'm over here trying to get high on Thanksgiving. Like,
Yeah.
what am I doing with my life? Like, I had tried to get clean probably 4 or 5 times before that.
Yeah.
And at that moment, I was just like, dude, I'm done. So I made a choice to get clean. But then I also knew that, so what would happen is I'd get clean for 2 weeks, a month, and then I'd relapse. Did that 4 or 5 times over
Yeah.
2 years.
Yeah.
So I knew for me to really stay clean, I needed to change my surroundings. So I left Utah, and I moved to Las Vegas to get
Which
clean.
is like,
So, which is,
if
when I
someone
tell
thinks
people
about
this
getting
story,
clean in places to go, it might not be Vegas, but yeah.
no, man. And I think that was part of my story, my journey, because
Yeah.
now I had a lot of you had a lot of temptation as well.
I
So
bet.
then not only did I have to overcome pills, but then I was a 20-year-old dude living in Vegas making good money that had, an Achilles heel, which is drugs. And
Mhm.
now I'm here in Vegas where I have everything at my fingertips. So that, I think that helped me, build some fortitude, some
Yeah, for
mental
sure.
strength.
So how did you finally just like, enough was enough? What happened there?
It that day, in Thanksgiving Day, I stopped taking Oxycontin. And what people do is when they're not taking heroin, they are using either what's called Suboxone or methadone. Those are
Okay.
the two replacements. And
Okay.
these pills, they don't get you high. It's when you take them, then you're not sick. You're not
Okay.
throwing up,
Yeah.
right? So I took that for probably about a month. And the problem is most people then get hooked on methadone. Then they get hooked on,
Yeah.
Suboxone.
Yeah.
So I remember even to this day, so Suboxone, it's like this big. It's really small. And every day you break off a little bit, so you take less and less. There was a point in time, Nate, where I was taking like a quarter of a button pill, and I
Yeah.
put it underneath my tongue. And I thought, I'm like, dude, I'm really only taking a quarter of this pill, and this is making me not sick. Like, this
Yeah.
shit's in my head, man.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to just replace a pill with another pill. So a month after getting clean from Oxycontin, I decided to no longer take Suboxone. And then it was probably about a week of bad withdrawals. Like, it was bad stomach pain and throwing up. But after that, I was good, man. And I just knew it was all up here.
Yeah. All right. So you go from there, you're in Vegas, like, yeah, where does Quest Education come into play?
So I still was on the coaching train, selling e-commerce coaching, real estate coaching. I did that for a number of years while I was in Vegas as well. And then, so I'll be 30 in June. So when I was about 24, 25, I I started to really feel like what I was doing wasn't the right thing to do, in the
Okay.
sense of I felt like me selling somebody $10,000, $20,000 coaching programs. Sure, there were some people that got helped, but I knew at the end of the day I wasn't helping the people the right way. I started to learn more about the business, and the fulfillment game isn't that good, man. Like, you sell someone $20,000 worth of coaching. Some of these fulfillment companies, like these clients that spend all this money, they really don't get all the tools and resources and knowledge they need to become successful.
Yeah.
And I started to feel guilty because of that.
Yeah.
And I just knew that, man, I wouldn't even sell my mom this program. Like, I wouldn't sell her $20,000 real estate coaching program, not the one I'm pitching right now.
Right.
And I was making good money, but I just decided, it's not worth it. Making six figures for me to feel this way. And I think a lot of it, I started to get clean over the years and get more clear headed. When you're on drugs, you have no conscience. Like,
Yeah.
you are making bad decisions. So when I was 24, 25, I'm like, man, I'm done selling coaching. And I always had a fascination with money. Like, I like the idea of the stock market and real estate and mutual funds and retirement accounts. Like that stuff fascinated me. And I knew someone that was in this space. And so I quit my job. I called him. I said, hey, dude, can I come work for you? And he's like, well, you're going to have to start setting appointments. I know you're used to closing, so you're going to have to start from the bottom. I'm like, dude, that's fine. Like, I don't mind starting from the bottom because I know I can just put in the work and work my way up again. So I did that about 5 years ago, and feel great about it, man. Like I would sell my mom, I have a retirement account. The ones that I sell, my mom does. I have no problem, being so much more transparent and just wanting to help more people.
Yeah, it's incredible, man, because there's a lot of people that would and probably still do and did. They were okay taking that money and selling that program, knowing that just like they really weren't getting what they were buying. And when I think of championship leaders, like some of the qualities, characteristics, that's what would definitely come to mind, right? Just this, they're winners, they're leaders of the best, but they're also not going to do it at the cost of, integrity, their values, and they're really out to make impact and do it the right way. And so I just really honor you for that and being that man. So
I appreciate that. I do have some regrets. Like I wish I would have made the jump earlier. Sure. I feel like me being in the industry and being on these, you said it pretty right, boiler rooms in a sense, just packing all these salespeople in a room and selling products that really, at the end of the day, you're not giving tons of value. I'd say it was a gift and curse for me, man. Like it was a curse because of what we just talked about, but it was a gift because I got to learn like some really, really good sales skills. I got to, the idea of picking up the phone and cold calling people and getting hung up on and, getting objection after objection and learning rebuttals and learning people's tone and having to dial and smile and, learning how to close. Selling's one thing, but then you also have to close. I learned tons in sales because of all that. And I believe that I'm taking a lot of what I've learned and now I'm applying it to this business now. And I feel like it's a force of good. So I want to just keep on going because I feel like I have a lot to still repay back in that sense.
Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of experience, right? Like maybe you wouldn't be where you are today had you not had that experience at that age, and to be in that kind of an environment as well, like super infectious, I'm sure, and easy to get caught up in, and especially being so young, man. Like, I mean, you're still young, so am I, but at the same time, like 20 years old, just, I look back at my 20-year-old self, you think you got to figure it out, but you're like, you have no clue, really. And, but just to have those experiences is pretty incredible. Who are some of the championship leaders that come to mind for you? Whether that's just maybe somebody in history that's just really everybody's heard of, or maybe even someone just really close to you that's impacted you in one way or another through your life.
I don't watch as much sports these days. Time is money. And when you're running a business and you've got a wife and you've got kids, the idea of spending hours and watching sports, like I'm not trying to judge people that do it. Hey man, I love sports, so I'll catch a game when I can, but absolutely. I'm not able to do that, as much anymore. But answering that question, the first thing that comes to my mind is Pat Riley. Like I'm a big Miami Heat fan. And I'm not like a Miami Heat fan just because LeBron James came. Like I'm a Miami Heat fan because Alonzo Mourning and Tim Hardaway and Dan Marley and Pat Riley. So I always loved Pat Riley's, like his demeanor. Like I never heard him speak like in the game or like in the coaching room or in the lockers, but I just felt like he could really fire people up and he knew how to push people's buttons and deal with ego. And, I forgot the name of his book, but I read his book and that book was really, really money. He talked about leadership.
I did too, man. Yeah. That's, I can't remember it either.
But The Winner Within.
Yeah. Something like that. Yeah. No, great book. It's funny you say, you said Pat Riley and then you said Miami Heat, because I think of Pat Riley and I think Lakers, the 80s, like when I was a kid growing up.
Yeah.
I'm 42 and but I obviously remember, the Heat days too, but yeah, man. Pat Riley, man. Because I love the Lakers when they had those battles with the Celtics, and,
Oh yeah. Oh
he
yeah.
he was the
Showtime.
leader of that team, man. And yeah, you're right. Like he had this look, like his hair was always right,
Slick
always
back.
dressed to nines, man, and like just he owned and he coached some personalities, like
Yeah.
to be able to do that and to it takes a special talent, special person, a real championship leader, especially in the NBA. I mean, they're all prima donnas, especially nowadays more than ever. That's the way it feels, anyways. I suppose now I'm really sounding like an old guy, like right, kids today.
Man, I can have that same conversation because I'm like, bro, bring back basketball in the 90s, man.
Yeah,
Reggie
right.
Miller,
Yeah, exactly.
MJ,
Yeah, oh, yeah, for
like
sure.
there was real rivalries
Yeah,
and
I know it.
yeah.
So yeah, that's yeah, Pat Riley. Anyone else, like anyone like personally come around, in your life and really impact you, guide you, mentor you, take you under their wing at some point?
No one in my family owns a business for the most part. I don't come from a family with money, so didn't really have a whole lot of guidance in that area. My mom, for sure, man, like she's not a business owner, but she's a CEO in her own right.
Yeah,
She's a social worker, so she's
yeah,
really, really good at psychology, and she visits prisons and deals with kids getting taken away and molested and abused. So she's a superstar, and she's really been a rock for
sure.
me. And especially since she raised me, pretty much on her own after I was about 12. So, she's I owe pretty much everything to her. We got a great relationship, and she was really good at letting me fail, but then teaching me, letting me overdraft my bank account when I was 17 years old,
Yeah,
letting me, see me go through withdrawals and, have a kid at 18, 19. And she was really, really good at just letting me fail, but then also saying, hey, this is where you need to do better. And so she's instrumental for sure.
social workers, man. That's like unsung heroes, man.
Yeah.
I mean, what they do is just incredible, and it's like, yeah,
Yeah, 100%. She's bilingual, so she's
yeah.
Mexican, and so she's got the Spanish speaking clients in Santa Ana, California.
Okay. Yeah, that's incredible work, man. That's a life's work, life's calling too. What about, let's talk about your dad just a little bit. My dad has not been a part of my life, and I don't know why or like what, but he's just never been really outside of like one or two instances. And I haven't talked to him since I was like 14 or 15, and I haven't seen him since I was in second grade. So, for me, I don't, because he's never been there. I don't think about it. It's
Yeah,
been more present for me lately because my kids will ask, right, and they're
yeah,
trying to wrap their head around like, how
yeah,
you don't know your dad? I
yeah.
can't imagine that. And but yeah. So because you've talked about it, you've mentioned it a few times. So and you said at one point that you just had no idea why he left. Like, have you ever connected with him, or is it kind of a similar
Yeah,
situation?
no, it was really the way it happened, man. Like when I look back at it now, like I'm really glad it happened the way it did. I wouldn't
Hmm.
have asked for anything different because it taught me so much and it allowed me to get so much closer to my mom. But I had the perfect life in a sense. Growing up when I was 7, 8, 9, I had my mom. My mom was a social worker her whole life. Right, my whole life. And then my dad owned a paralegal business. He did divorces, bankruptcies, paralegal, immigration. He owned a business. And I think that's where I kind of get my hustler, my
Yeah,
entrepreneurial, my gift of gab from him.
yeah,
And so I grew up with both of them, and the picture perfect home. I got to go to, soccer games and basketball games. And he coached me in basketball. So it broke my heart when it went down the way it did. I was about 12, and he's just like, "Hey, I got to go drop your grandma off in Mexico. I'll be back."
wow,
And he never came back, and I never got like any closure. So I was just like so tight with him. And then when that happened, like my mom didn't tell me what happened, um, and I held on to a lot of anger because I didn't get any responses, any answers.
yeah,
And I found out later in life, why he had to move to Mexico and why he had to leave there. And there was just some choices that my dad made that put him in a position where he couldn't come back to the
gotcha.
States.
Yeah,
He still lives in Mexico to this day. But what's interesting, man, is like the circle of life. I hated the dude until I had my daughter,
Yeah.
Isabella, when I was 19.
Yeah.
And I remember looking at her, I'm like, shit, man, this is my blood. You
Yeah.
know, this is my kid. And my dad probably looks at me the same way. So I'm going to be better if I just forgive him. I
Yeah.
don't need to know all the details. Like, let me just
Yeah.
let go of this anger. And if he reaches out to me, it's just like, dude, I love you, Dad. It's all good.
Yeah.
So these days, you know, I don't talk to him like every day or every week or every month, but there's an open line of communication and there's no hard feelings. And he lives in Mexico, does his thing. I live in the States. I do my thing. There's just no beef, you know, so I'm at peace.
Like you say, I mean, even that experience, it helps to shape and mold who you are, probably who you show up as a father, and even I'm sure in your business. So let's talk Quest Education real quick, and like, yeah. So how did you start it? Like, where are you headed? Right, championship leaders. I always talk a lot about vision, right? This big vision, not being afraid to like go the direction that most are unwilling to go, right? To do the things that most are unwilling to do. There's these championship leaders, they're willing to step outside what the norm is, and to really win, to really get to where they want to go. So yeah, talk to us about that and where you're headed and what you're doing, and what you're all about.
Yeah, so the premise of our company is we do education for self-directed retirement accounts. So we help predominantly business owners set up self-directed 401ks, IRAs, and the benefit in working with us is we show people how they can tap into their retirement accounts without paying the penalties and taxes, so they can use that money to invest in real estate or and take money out and invest in their business, things of that nature. So I had a unique path where I started with this company as an employee, essentially, the very bottom. You know, I
Yeah.
started setting appointments, and and I was able to just move up just like I did when I was 18, 19. I started setting appointments, got really good at that. Then I started closing deals. I got really good at that. Then I started running the sales floor, got really good at that. Then I
Yeah.
started running the operations and the sales, got good at that. And fate just had it set up, man, where I eventually became an owner of the company. And it's just me. Super grateful for the team I have. You know, I've got about 15 employees. I wouldn't be able to be here talking to you about this stuff if it wasn't for them.
Yeah.
So I
Right.
got tons of MVPs, you know, inside of this building. So, you know, right now, as I mentioned to you earlier, you know, we do low seven figures. We got about 1,000 customers right now. My goal, man, is I want to 10X this thing, man. I want to be able to get 10,000 customers. I want to be able to have, you know, a solid book of business where we're just servicing these customers and really just wowing them. I feel like that we're in a day and age where it's all about like instant gratification and
Mhm.
not a lot of human interaction. It's more, you know, and digital and text and video is fine. It serves its purpose, but there's nothing like having a conversation with someone, especially when you're dealing with someone's money. You know, there's got to be good
Absolutely.
rapport. There's got to be trust. There's got to be good efficiency. And we really just want to give people the best experience possible. When they have an account with us, they know I'm here to help out, but I've got Beverly, I've got Arlene, you know, I've got Jordan. Like we have a whole team that is here to wow customers. And we want to earn their business, but then we want to keep their business. So, you know, I just want to be able to scale this thing and grow it as big as we can. So then we can help as many people as we can and just keep furthering this mission.
Awesome. Do you have clients all over the country?
Yeah, I got clients all 50 states. Everything that we do is over the phone. So
Yeah.
I might have 20, 30 clients here in Vegas,
Yeah.
but I got clients in literally all 50 states.
Great, man. And so like, how come we haven't, this concept that you talk about isn't one that I hear a lot about? Like,
Because
what's the deal? What's the secret? Why?
so
Yeah.
for anyone that has an IRA or a 401k right now and they're listening to this, chances are you probably have a financial advisor.
Yeah.
You don't know this because he makes money off of you.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
think about this. The money that you have in your IRA or 401k, it's invested in mutual funds or stocks. And there's fees that are derived from these investments that are
Yep.
paying your financial advisor, that are paying Fidelity, paying all these different companies. And as long as your money stays in these accounts, they're going to keep making money off you. So why would they talk to you about an account that would allow you to buy a piece of property? Or why would they talk to you about an account that would allow you to pull money out and invest in your business?
Yeah.
That doesn't go against their business. That doesn't go with their business model. So they don't talk about this stuff. And that's why I love what I do, because I see this huge opportunity where I'm like, dude, people don't even know. I can't tell you how many people I talk to where I tell them my elevator spiel, you know, and they're just like, dude, how come no one's told me this before?
Yeah. Right.
Give them the same answer.
That's the thought I had. I was like, man, that's incredible. It's incredible that you do that. And, what's the why that's driving you? I know you said 10X, right? You want to 10X this. What's the big reason behind that? Like that why that's driving you outside of, you know, money, right? Outside of the financial gain. And there's more there, right?
I think you mentioned it earlier when you asked me the question about championship, and my answer was compete, man. Like, I love to compete, man. Like, I love to, you know, like when you're getting your ass kicked in the first half and you got to go in your halftime, you know, meeting with the coach, and you're down, you know, 2 goals, 3 goals. Like, what are you going to do? You know, are you going to come back and make some adjustments and come back and win? Are you just going to just concede and just be like, dude, this team's got us? That's the same with business, man. Business, like, you can have a day where you're like, oh my gosh, the business is going great. We're making money. Like, things are going awesome. Everyone's happy. And then the next day it's like, holy shit, the sky is falling, right?
Yeah, what happened?
So, it's, I just love to be in the trenches with the team, man. Like, I love to compete. I love to provide an opportunity for our employees to have health insurance, retirement plans, you know, wages to feed their families and pay their bills and have their kids go to school, and really just create a cool, unique, sustainable culture, just like a sports team. Like, I just want to go on a huge run, man. Like, you know, when I was playing on competitive teams, like, we wanted to have dynasties, right? We wanted to go to the playoffs every year. We wanted to be that team that, you know, people are gunning for us. And same with business, man. Like, I just want to have something that's sustainable. We compete year in, year out, and do the best we can to dominate in our space and see where this takes us, man. I read the book, Good to Great. And I really like how he put it into perspective, where he's just like, dude, I don't know where this bus is going. I really don't. But I know if I get the right people on the bus, we're going places. So I have that big, hairy, audacious goal, right? That BHAG goal that us entrepreneurs have to have. Yeah. But I don't really know all the answers in between, right? I just know if I get the right people in the right bus and the right people in the right places on the bus, and we know enough where it makes us dangerous, and we get good process systems, culture in place, like, dude, the sky's the limit. I'm trying to win.
That's incredible, man. I love it. Yeah. You want to compete, you want to win, and nothing wrong with that. That's for sure. If you win, a lot of other people win along the way. So that's for sure.
Family, friends. Absolutely.
Yeah. Let's wrap this up. What are 1 or 2 things that you could leave with our listeners here, you know, entrepreneurs, people that want to grow and become better? They want to win, right? They want to win in all areas. What could you leave them with here as we start to wrap up?
Well, I think there's 2 types of people listening to this call. Either A, there's not an IRA or 401k that you've got in the picture. So, you know, maybe you're 1099 or you got an LLC, you're self-employed in some way, shape, or form. You might not think about this now. I know I didn't. I wasn't thinking about saving money for the future. I wasn't thinking about putting money in a retirement account, but, you know, life catches up to us really quick, and it's important that we do plan for the future. So, you know, if you don't have a retirement account right now, there's what's called a solo 401k. Solo 401k, you can contribute up to $56,000 to $62,000 per year into this plan. And it gives you some really, really good tax benefits. And then it's money that you can use to invest in your business, invest in real estate, and you can, you know, really compound this growth and over a period of time have hundreds of thousands of dollars, you know. So then when you are in your 50s or 60s, you just have another piece of the puzzle. So that's what I would talk to people that don't have a retirement account set up. If you already do have an IRA or 401k, and you're a business owner and you like the idea of being able to use your money outside the stock market, you know, maybe you're not really fond of mutual funds and stocks and you'd like to be able to control your own money, then the solo 401k, I do a lot of solo 401ks and self-directed IRAs, just allows you to control your own money. Maybe you want to invest in real estate. Maybe you want to take some of that money out and invest it in your business in some way, shape, or form. That is something that you can do. So I always tell people the solo 401k is one of the most powerful tools out there. It's not some secret retirement account that our company made up. Right. This is an IRS approved account that's out there for business owners. It is just not talked about. So highly recommend people do their research in that area and have some type of money in a 401k or an IRA at some point.
Perfect, man. And so so for those of us that want more information on that or want to talk to you and Quest Education to get that set up and take care of, how can people get a hold of you? How can they contact you? How can
you can call me directly. My number is 702-843-5430. That's 702-843-5430. They can also jump on our website. It's yourquest.com, yourquest.com. I'm the most active on Facebook, so you can just add me, Daniel Blue. I'm out here in Las Vegas, so I do my best to put out content on Facebook as well, videos and written posts to just educate people. So I just do my best to just give out education, give out as much value as I can, so then people can decide what they want to do with that information.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, I see you putting that stuff out and incredible content. So definitely give him a follow, and we're going to put all that, his number and everything else, inside the show notes as well. And he's got a book. He's working on a book, folks. So be on the lookout for that. I can't wait to get a copy myself. And thank you so much, man, for being here. I really, really appreciate it.
Hey, Nate, thank you for having me on. Love what you're doing. And if the people haven't read your book, man, I'm reading your book and I want to go run 100-miler even though I get my ass kicked.
You heard it. He's got 100 miles coming soon. Yeah, the 100-mile mindset. Appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Hey, man, you too, Nate.